Okay, everybody. Crazy day. Today is the last day of AP Statistics. So we got a lot of stuff to get through today, just a lot of final review. Um, so that first video that you should have watched on the website, again, is a cool video, just describing what makes a successful student, what specifically how you study and do homework affects your results. So hopefully you found that interesting and useful, and you can use that these next 5 days as you are studying for the AP test next week. So the big thing was using practice tests, which I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in this video. So just make sure that you're going through as many practice tests, practice problems as possible. At this point, since we've learned all the content, that's going to be the best way for you to do well on the test. So this video right here is just going through some different, I'm going to be going through just some tips for the AP test so you know exactly what to expect, what's the structure, how to pace your time on the test, and then also how to go through and have a reasonable study plan that's not going to take insane amount of time if you don't have time to study 5-6 hours a day between now and the AP test, but will help you be prepared if you only have about an hour to study each day. All right. So you have two different parts of the AP test. Part number one, which is the multiple choice section. So you have 90 minutes to do 40 questions on the multiple choice part of the test. So you can do the math. It's about 2 minutes per question. So that's the pace that you want to go on. Just like any other test, I know a lot of you have already taken an AP test this week for AP Lit. You just want to make sure that you're pacing yourself. If you get to a question and you're spending 2 minutes on it, you just still have no clue how to solve it, then I would go on to the next question. All right, because one question on this test isn't going to really hurt your grade a ton, but if you spend 10 minutes working on one question and then have to guess on the last 10 questions on the test, that's really going to affect your results. So you want to make sure that you're going at a nice 2 minutes per question pace. If you get to one and you feel like you're not going to be able to finish it in 2 minutes, that might be one to circle and come back and then spend more time on it at the end of the class when you know you have that extra time. So the multiple choice questions, we've done a lot of different practice. Any review day that we did during the school year, all the tests that we did multiple choice, those were all multiple choice questions straight from the AP test. So it could be anything from Unit 1 to Unit 12, pretty wide variety of material there. Then free response, you have 90 minutes for the free response question. So this is how I recommend you break down each time. So the first 5 free response questions are like normal free response questions. They're going to have anywhere between 2 to 4 sections, parts to it. And you want to give yourself about 12 minutes for each question, which again, that's the time that I've told you in class as we've done all those review problems throughout the year. That's kind of the pace you want to have, 12 minutes for each question. Some things to consider is make sure that your writing is concise, not only because it's going to be clear and easier for the grader to read, but then you're going to save time on the test. 12 minutes is not a lot of time, so you want to make sure you're given all the information you need as concisely as possible. Now, this last video for today, I'm just going to talk about this last question, number 6. We're going to go through one of these together, but the number 6 is kind of like an extended free response question. So it's still part of that 90 minutes. You're not going to they're not going to stop the test and give you 30 minutes at the end to do this. So it's all encompassed in that 90-minute period. But I recommend that you give yourself about 30 minutes for this last section, this number 6 question, because it has about 5 to 6 different parts and it's kind of like an extended response. Really tying in different concepts. You'll probably have concepts from like 3 or 4 different chapters in one question. Again, at the end of today's class, I'm going to go through one of those questions in a video for you so you can see what to expect on that, and also throw up some practice questions that you can do over the weekend. So that's the pacing that you want to set as you're doing practice tests over the weekend and early next week, preparing for the test. Make sure that you're like have a timer on your phone next to you as you're going through the test, to make sure that you have a good pace, so you can kind of get the feel for what 2 minutes looks like, what 12 minutes look like on each of those questions. Then this next part is a recommended study plan. So I'm not going to require you to do a bunch of review work and send to me. It's going to be pretty much up to you to do this on your own. But I'm just going to say, you've worked hard this entire year to learn all of the material. You're going to come to the test on Thursday. So I know you guys probably have senioritis and you don't want to do some extra stats work this last week of school, but it's going to be really worth it to help you be prepared for the test. So this is kind of just a really simple study plan that I would recommend, that if you do, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape for the test. So study 1 hour each day from tomorrow to Wednesday, Saturday through Wednesday. So that gives you 5 days of studying. And then for the first 5 minutes, look over all the different cheat sheets that I've given you. So all different cheat sheets for different units that have all the really important information on 1 or 2 sheets. Go through all that and take about 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes of your study session, to do that. That way you're kind of memorizing the formulas, the acronyms, you know exactly how to show your work, all that stuff. And then spend the last 45 minutes doing practice problems from either your Princeton review book. We still have all that material, the practice tests in the front and the back to do, and you can go back and check your work with the answers. Or I have practice tests on the website. There's a separate tab. You can go in there. So you have plenty of practice tests they can use, because just like you saw in that TED Talk video at the beginning of this class, doing those practice tests is the best way to help prepare you to get a good score on the test. Then the last thing is, you want to make sure that you have a calculator for your test. So I'm going to be talking with the counselors and Dr. Fowler to see if we can just get a class set of graphing calculators the day of the test, so you don't have to worry about it. But I would plan to come to my classroom probably around like 11:30. There'll be a sub in there, and just tell them that you need to borrow a calculator for the AP test. I'll make a note for the sub so they know that there's going to be students coming in asking for a calculator, and it'll be fine for you to get that. So make sure that you have a calculator. Do not start the test without a calculator, because obviously you've seen how important it is. You're not going to be able to get probably like half the questions right if you don't have your calculator. So make sure you have your calculator. And like I said, if I'm able to secure some right at the testing site on Thursday, I'll send you guys a remind text to let you know. But just make sure that if that doesn't happen, that you just come to my classroom Thursday at like 11:30. Make sure you get your calculator. And then I think Dr. Matthews is going to be giving out the AP test, so you can just give the calculators to her when you're done, or bring it back to my classroom afterwards. All right, so hopefully that kind of gives you a good idea of what to expect. And if you do those things, you do put in the work this next week, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable on the test on Thursday.